It's Tuesday on Your View. Welcome to the show. I am Murayo Afolabi Brown. As always, I have the ladies with me. Hello, Tokwe Marco Dike. How are you?
I'm very good.
Love your hair.
House of Hair by BC.
Anyone.
BC's Business Empire. I'm very good. Really grateful to God for life. You know, I had a terrible chest pain. I've been having chest pain since yesterday. And I now thought about where I was having the chest pain at night. I'm like, Mark, it's my heart.
The middle or under the left side.
So I just said, there was a little panic that happened in my head, you know, so I know I need to get myself properly checked. But I need interns. If you're smart, you want an organization where you can grow. We'll be doing a graduate internship program properly from next month. My team and the consultants are putting it together that will gather a group of like 20 people, train them over a 6 months period on soft skills and marketing, sales, organizational structure. Like, would empower them that they can work in other places, but the top 5 will be retaining within our own organization, and I'm really looking forward to it. I have a new office space, and I have training facility that can seat 30 people. So I want to put it to good use and start by doing something that would be impactful, you know. So I'll put the process little by little. I'm grateful to God. I'm grateful to God.
Hello, Obiajulu. How you doing?
I sprained my neck. Yeah.
Neck, okay.
Yeah, so
During the...
I managed
As in, neck is in what position, right?
No, I was sleeping.
Just
so I woke up on the neck somehow. And yesterday I managed it all through the show. But when I watched the clips, I saw that I was talking and tilting to one corner. This morning it got worse. Thankfully, a masseuse that came on Wake Up had to help me with some massage it a bit. But today is day 2 of my water fast. I haven't eaten since 9 p.m. Sunday evening.
Wow.
I wanted to shock you guys.
Are you kidding?
9 p.m. Today's what? Tuesday?
Today is Tuesday. I'm rounding up
Only
tomorrow.
water?
Only water.
3 days.
Yes. 3 days water fast.
What was the idea?
So to kickstart my metabolism, flush out toxins, you know, re-engineer my DNA. There's a lot. I've done research. I've done research on it. See my face now. It's popping. Like, there's no food in my system right now. They need to take me into ketosis as well. And by tomorrow evening, I would. And I feel strong. I feel good. Yes, I'm not weak. Just water.
It's possible. People have done 7 days, but I'm not like I'm seeing that she's very active.
Yeah, I am.
And you're able to still do everything.
Sharp.
So.
Yeah, aside from the pains I'm having.
And that has nothing to do with
it. Has nothing to do. Yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
It is very impressive.
We're too addicted
I'm
to
grateful that you know. With meditation, you start getting disciplined. I can discipline and stretch myself, and I'm happy. Like my husband is so impressed. Like you have not eaten. I like ice cream. Like I know
and
that's
it's a good way to build confidence too. For those struggling with it, just push yourself to do something you're not comfortable doing.
You can achieve anything you want to achieve.
Fantastic.
I'm a proponent of that.
Well done.
Thank you.
I'm inspired. I'll try one of these days.
We could do together, so I can hold your hand. So you don't easily give up.
How you doing?
I'm fine.
What's going on?
Recently I recorded Momo Brown, and she trended. Like in my life, I never knew that Momo can trend like this.
But Momo always trends
videos. Momo is a superstar.
So I'm thinking of actually doing a video with her, recording her, telling us about her life history, growing up, her struggles. I'm going to do that video. I'm going to put it in various episodes because she has a lot of material and she's very strong. I might as well use her material now. So I'm going to
documenting that process.
Ekiti people hardly die. My grandmother is still alive.
Oh, nice.
She's in her 90s something. I'm not sure now.
So there was something.
She's on her way. Yes, because this summer she's going to Canada. She's traveling. So you know she's traveling. Their passport is ready. And her visa is ready. So before she goes, I think I'm going to get
Mama is living the life.
She's living the life. She went to the US, then she went to Ireland, then she went to she's going to Canada.
At 90.
98. And she's strong.
Wow.
Anyways,
amazing.
Let's go on a quick break. When we come back, we go through the front pages of the paper. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Okay, we're going to start with The Nation. Petrol, diesel, others to flow from Dangote refinery come July. Supreme Court fixes Friday for judgment in PDP's suit against Tinubu and Shettima. Why Tribunal rejected motions on live telecast. Sirika, more heads to roll in aviation agencies. Tinubu will support Navy, says Buhari. Why Judiciary must resist technical judgments. And President signs Social Investment Agency bill. Okay, which story are we starting with?
I could start with the human trafficking. So the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAPTIP, has said it is strengthening its investigative capacities or capabilities to tackle rising cases of online sexual exploitation. It also set up a cybersecurity response team responsible for handling all cases of online sexual exploitation and material assault. Now, the Director General, Professor Fatima Waziri Azi, spoke at a 5-day training of investigators and prosecutors in Kefi, Nasarawa State. And that was organized by the Attorney General Alliance Africa, AGA Africa, in collaboration with NAPTIP to strengthen the agency's anti-human trafficking efforts. So he said that they conducted a gap analysis and identified the need to strengthen their investigation and prosecution departments. She says, we are hoping to secure more convictions, which will also translate into sending a strong message across the country. When you have strengthened the investigation departments, when you have a strengthened prosecution department, that is the only output that you get. Then, in addition to the prosecutorial targets, we also do a lot of awareness creation, and awareness creation focuses on rural areas and urban communities. So since last year, they've been establishing trafficking of persons and violence against persons vanguard in secondary schools. So they, according to the agency, they said they've been able to do that in 84 of the 110 unity schools, where they go and give some of these talks. And this is a good one. They are also working with other African countries to ensure that we do not have trafficking in persons. Now, I think we talked about, they highlighted Edo State specifically. There were some areas that they found that they were huge in that act. So we talked about how we can help these people, because some of them are tricked into doing this. They tell you we are going to get you work outside the country, and then you travel and you're being trafficked.
So sad.
Okay, you have a story. I'm going to take our president. In this last 1 week, he's just commissioning left, right, and center. He was in Dangote, but now let me come to, he was actually, you want to take Dangote first?
Yeah.
Go ahead. Let me let you.
That's like the hottest story. That's what everybody in my industry is using to market real estate now.
Wow.
So the president, and let me list the roll call. It was a presidential event. The president, our president, Muhammadu Buhari, the president of Togo, Fore Gasingbe, the president of Ghana, Nana Akufo-Addo, the president of Senegal, President Macky Sall, the president of Niger Republic, President Mohamed Bazoum, the president of Chad, President Mahamat Deby, the vice president of Nigeria, vice president-elect and Senate president, that's Kashim Shettima, as well as Ahmed Lawan, with the governor of Lagos State, Babajide Sanwo-Olu, Dapo Abiodun, Olusegun Osun. It was a massive roll call of people who went to open the biggest refinery.
You know how many people say, it can never open. Is it not Dangote?
The biggest
now.
single train refinery in the world. And they were expecting the first batch of products to roll out before the end of July, according to what Alhaji Aliko Dangote said. He said that this was a contribution to Nigeria's efforts to strengthen our investment. This investment in industry is supposed to help Nigeria to, as well as help Africa.
Right.
And it will reduce it would increase foreign inflow into Nigeria and also reduce our dependency on imported fuel. So we're looking forward to experiencing that.
Wish him all the best.
Okay.
Business is not easy.
So other legacy projects our president will be commissioning today is the 21-year-old Second Niger Bridge. Will be commissioned today, and 6 other legacy projects. There's going to be, I think, it's the Abuja-Kano Expressway, the local Oweto Bridge. There's some in Guzau, some in Bayelsa. There's so many other areas that it will be
the final
few days of commissioning. You know, you must show that when I do this thing before I leave. Anyway, so yesterday there was the special advisor to the president media was giving us a heads up on all the various commissioning that will be done. Commissioned 7 legacy projects completed by the federal government, Federal Ministry of Works and Housing, so Minister Fashola is also going to be there. 3 major bridges, 3 federal secretariats, and a road. And also the Customs Service Office, 19.6 billion naira corporate headquarters would also be commissioned today. So Buhari is very, very busy.
Yes,
can't call him right now.
Last few days before we go and rest in Daura.
So that history will be good to him that, he commissioned, he started this project before he left. Okay, let's move on to the Punch. Dangote Refinery, we talked about that earlier. Operators fault removal of NAMA managing director. My admin boosted Navy's capacity with 20 ships, says Buhari. Governors-elect protest as outgoing governors shun transition panels. Tribunal reject live broadcast. Supreme Court decides anti-Buhari suit on Friday. Okay, which story are we starting with?
So we remember the viral video that went around when a widow was banished in Ogbaru local government. We talked about it. It was a full topic on the show. Yes. So there's good news. A suspect who allegedly banished the widow from the Umunanko community in Ogbaru local government area of Anambra State have been arrested and arraigned before the Children's Sexual and Gender-Based Violence Magistrates Court in Oka, the state capital. The suspects and defendants identified as Lazarus Ozo, Anozie Uzo, Valentine Ukusa, a brother to the widow. And they said they all hailed from Umunanko. They had used the masquerade to force the widow, Neka Uzo, out of the community some few weeks ago. So they were arraigned on 5 counts on Monday. Their arrest was facilitated by the State Commissioner for Women and Social Welfare, Ife Obinabo, in collaboration with the State Police Command last week. When the charges were read and interpreted to the defendants, they pleaded not guilty to all of the charges. But the Chief Magistrate, Genevieve Osakwe, granted them bail in the sum of 700,000 naira. Now, the 53-year-old widow, who's a caterer and a mother of 2, was banished from the community. According to her story, she said she had left her husband's house and moved to her mother's house 9 years ago after she lost her husband. But a neighbor of theirs died and they called her to come for the burial. So she had packed her things. You know, when you do burial, a lot of people sleep around. She was sleeping in the compound when they woke her up about 5:30 a.m. to say that you are a witch, you are the one that killed this person. And so they drove her out of the community, hurled insults at her and all that. But the commissioner is saying that they will make sure that she gets justice and they're going to fight for every widow who has experienced such in the community. So
my dear Governor Matawale is in the news yet again. This time around, the incoming governor of his state is saying that he has abandoned the state and has refused to to be part of the transition process. According to the publicity secretary of the PDP, they were saying that because he had lost his re-election bid, he has totally, completely abandoned the state. But Matawale responded and said that no, he has been attending very, very important functions, and that's why the incoming administration of Dauda Lauba was really, really adamant that they need him to stay in Zamfara to help with the transition process so that they can know especially the financial records of the state. But Governor Matawale is not available for that for now, according to this report. Same thing happening in Benue State. The incoming governor-elect, that's Reverend Father Hyacinth Alia, also is complaining that even the lodge where he's supposed to stay as a governor-elect wasn't renovated for him, that there's a strain between himself and the current governor of the state. So that's the issue we're having, because the governors-elect are having serious problems in having transition for the state. But let me go on a quick break. When we come back, I'll take your own story in Punch. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still reviewing Punch. You have a story in Punch?
Yes. So the federal government has removed the acting managing director of the Nigerian Airspace Management Agency, Mr. Matthew Patok, as part of last-minute shakeup within the aviation sector. And operators are faulting the removal of this, the NAMA managing director. There's been a series of shakeup within the aviation industry. The minister has reportedly also appointed the director of airspace and aerodrome at the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority, Mr. Tayyib Odunwo, as his replacement. Punch couldn't verify that yet, but there was also another person who had his tenure expired last weekend. That's the FAN, Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria's Captain Rabiu Yadudu, and he's also been replaced by Mr. Kabir Mohammed as the new managing director of FAN. So there are a group of people that call themselves the ARTS, which stands for Aviation Roundtable, and they have condemned the last-minute activities of the Minister of Aviation, said it's unwarranted, that for most of his administration, he didn't appoint or create a proper governing structure within the aviation industry, that he placed most of the activities under his personal control, and that they didn't function like agencies and parastatals. They were just, the entire aviation industry was functioning like agencies and parastatals under him. The same Aviation Roundtable group also mentioned that he micromanaged all the activities of the aviation industry, and it could easily, they feel like the Minister of Aviation as a role should be collapsed under Ministry of Transport like it was before, and that as internationally recognized, the Nigerian Civil Aviation Authority should be given a proper structure as a regulatory agency according to the global best practices. I also felt a bit worried that there's a bit of shake-up at such last minute, because we always expect that while one administration is going out, everything should remain stable during the transition period before a new person takes over and they can properly appoint who will be able to work with the new minister. But with this shake-up, we wonder, I hope there won't be another shake-up when
the administration comes up.
Okay, Vanguard, very quickly, $21 billion revenue, 100,000 jobs coming from our refinery. Again, armed herders kill 18 behead women, children in Benue. Presidential poll, why tribunal rejected live coverage? Northeast, FG seeks funding for over 4 million malnourished people. Buhari to commission second Niger bridge. Plateau killings, death toll hits 130 as Khan warns against reprisal. And Naira redesign, massive cash hoarding resumes. Why is nothing being done in Plateau?
It's a lot.
Our heart is still going out to the people that have been murdered in Plateau State, and yet we have another story about what's happening in Benue State. In Benue, 18 persons were killed, some beheaded. They said they've recovered 7 corpses. The attack was said to have been carried out by headsmen within the Iye community of Overing Council ward of Guma local government area of Benue State. They were beheaded and some were burnt. The natives of the community said, who has lost his brother, wanted to remain anonymous, spoke about the fact that the headsmen, he qualified the headsmen, attacked the community around 6 p.m. on Sunday, said they killed over 18 people, including his brother. They injured several and burnt down many houses. And this vicious attack is unfortunate because they are largely farming community, and the information was confirmed by the Security Secretary of the Guma Council, Mr. Christopher Waku, confirmed that 18 people were actually killed within that area. The police commissioner for Benue State was also confirmed the attack, but according to the police, they've been able to recover 7 corpses but from the scene, and they are working with volunteer guards to repel other attacks within the community. It is really, really worrisome.
Still on the kidnap story, men of the Benue State Police Command rescued 10 kidnapped victims, including a medical doctor, Etito Obadia. Etito Obadia works with Federal Medical Center Makurdi and was rescued on Monday by the policemen. So the State's Commissioner Police, Okoro Julius, said this on Monday while he was parading some suspects arrested in connection with the abduction of the medical doctor and 9 others allegedly found in the kidnappers' den. The paraded suspected cult members arrested in connection with the killing of a 29-year-old Babatunde Moses. So Okoro said that the police team, Operation Zenda JTF, trailed the kidnappers to their hideout at Gaya Village, Otange Council Ward in Katsina Ala local government area of Benue State. On inciting the police, they engaged them in a gun duel, and that claimed the life of one of the kidnappers. 3 suspects were arrested, others escaped into the bush with bullet wounds. And the doctor that was rescued, gave his own story, saying that he was kidnapped on his way to Taraba with his driver. And he was shocked because when he got to that area, he didn't believe that police could find their way there. But he was shocked that he was rescued by the police, and he was, full of praises for the Nigerian police, saying that they came in, they were so fearless, attacked the kidnappers and rescued them, that if Nigerian police, if they want to work, they actually do work well. And,
I'm happy to...
Yeah, I'm happy that, yes.
Okay, so I was going to take the story of the Naira redesign. So Vanguard did a report that looks like currency hoarding has actually started again. According to them, the currency outside banks has risen to 43%. So if you recall, back in December 2022, it came down because of the mop-up that the CBN governor was trying to do. It came down about 1.4 trillion naira. As of today, it has gone up to approximately 2.1 trillion naira of cash outside the banks. Also, even currency in circulation has gone up to 42%. So people are hoarding cash.
Won't I hoard? So that bank will not lock up and...
So there's no money.
It's now counterproductive. So what he did, the objective to mop up cash is totally...
doesn't make sense.
Has been reversed based on what's since the relaxation of the policy. Okay, very quickly, our last paper is the Nigerian Tribune. Let's find a story we've not taken. 22 killed in Benue Plateau. We've taken that story. El Rufai deposits 2 Kaduna traditional chiefs. 10th National Assembly speakership. Over 150 opposition reps elect. Meet, defer to governors and party leaders. Refinery's first product to hit market end of July, says Dangote. Newly inaugurated assembly plans to produce 500 train wagons, it says Buhari. And Supreme Court to deliver judgment in PDP's suit against Tinubu and Shettima.
Sorry, I have to take a sad story. This also happened in Plateau State. Said 4 young men were sitting in front of their corridor when these people came and opened fire on them. They suspected they were security men, but they were just young boys who were in front of their house. Opened fire on them and killed all of them. So the Christian Association of Nigeria is speaking up against it, saying that this has got to stop. It's becoming one too many. And they said that according to the reports, they have about 130 people killed and about 1,000 buildings burnt, with about 22 villages affected. Something really has to be done about this.
It's really
What about the satellite drones, seeing this time coming in, going out? I mean,
in those villages?
Yeah, I don't think that might work, but I think that we need to have more security presence because the attacks are happening back to back. I want to take the story, good news, seemingly, from Abhors Ali University of Ekpoma, Edo State. The school has dismissed 13 of its academic and non-academic staff for different offenses ranging from age falsification, financial fraud, gross misconduct, extortion, and sexual harassment. They said out of 209 disciplinary cases that was received by the internal disciplinary structure within the school, they were able to conclude 132 cases, representing 63%, while about 37% cases are still pending. Some lecturers that were accused of making sexual advances on students, a girl within the school, has been sacked. They also sacked another professor who was found guilty of extorting money from students. I think that this is the right... When justice like this is served within the system, it helps to purify the system and also cautions other people from doing the same. So I'd like to applaud the management of the University of Abhors Ali in Ekpoma for doing this.
Going back to our president's commissioning, he has commissioned the very first ever wagon assembly plant in West Africa. According to him, the president said that the wagon assembly plant is set to produce 500 wagons per year of open wagon container for flat wagons and box wagons. That's for trains. He was represented by the Minister of Transportation, Muazu Sambo, and said about out of they actually got it was the China Civil Engineering Construction Corporation (CCECC) that had this partnership with the federal government, and about 220 of those wagons are going to be produced in Kajola plants. This is good news for Nigeria because one of the things I know that President Buhari wanted to leave is that he was able to help with the infrastructure, revive the manufacturing sector so people can produce things locally. It's going to take a long time for us to reap the benefits of some of these things, but at least he has set some of the foundations for others to build on. So it's a good thing for our nation. I think that's all we can take on Front Page Review. When we return, move on to our hot topic of the day. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. So, our hot topic today is about Annie Dibia and Two-Face. Now, as I said, when Nigerians talk about a story, once the View doesn't talk about it, it hasn't been spoken about. But I must acknowledge that on weekend, the conversation started on Your View on Saturday, and we're going to continue because Anne herself, Dibia, came out just, I think, in the last 24 hours, saying specifically that we should leave our husband, her marriage alone, and we should always assume there was something wrong with her marriage. This is an important conversation to have. The reason is because we had said something, I think, last week about the utterances of our men. And I think I mentioned it last week that sometimes we need to have a conversation with our men. Let's talk about Nigerian men, maybe not men in general, and how they talk to women, to their wives, their spouse. We have a lot of this, or how they even express themselves outside, how they comport themselves or otherwise. What are your thoughts on the matter, on the Two-Faces issue? And then we'll come to Anne's response. Let's hear your thoughts, and you can call us on the numbers on your screen, 081-270-53687, 091-390-7694. You can also tweet to us at TVC Connect. Please hashtag YourViewTV, so we can read your tweet. I want us to, because a lot has been said about what happened, but I want us to start from the utterance. You know how people just talk anyhow. Do you think he should have been more composed in his utterances, or how could he have been more composed? Or was it just something that happened because it was a reality show, he just couldn't hold himself? What are your thoughts on what happened? Let's start with your initial thoughts on the event itself.
Yeah, so I watched the reality show from beginning to the end. I love it. I watched season 1 and I saw this other season and I enjoy watching. What I saw in that conversation was a man saying what he had heard from society growing up and saying it as a belief. So, you know, over time you hear your father say, this is how men are, this is how men are wired, these are men, and it becomes most men believe that is the real thing, that is how they are wired. We've had conversations here with even our back end people, and they say, yes, a man is wired to do that because that's what they are used to. That's what society has excused for them. That has now become a belief. Remember that we make our beliefs and our beliefs make us. That has become a belief for him. And he was speaking generally that a man can love you. It doesn't mean he doesn't love you anymore. But then his body charges up and then he wants to just do it. But the point where they don't tell these men is your body can, even women see a guy that they like and their body charges up, right? The charging up would happen if you have a physical attraction to somebody. But what you do with the charging up is where they don't say. And that's where discipline comes in. And that's where we can categorically say that there are some men that exercise that discipline. And even if their body charges up, they don't do anything about it. They, find a way to calm it down and move on. So saying that generally this is how men are is saying that every man out there does not have discipline. Because you must be charged up when you see someone you're attracted to. Even women, the only difference is our own charging up does not show because it's inside. A man's own, you see, he will barely be able to stand up. I've gone into, somebody has called me once, actually, that, babe, come. One babe just pass. Come, I cannot even stand up. Come to my office. Where are you? Come to my office now. Come and calm me down. And we laughed about it. It happens. But what do you do with it? Now, Two-Face in itself was not sensitive to. We'll
come back to that. I'll come to the next phase of being sensitive to his wife. Okay. What are your initial thoughts on what was said?
My initial thoughts when I saw the video of what Two-Face said was like, wow, Two-Face has misyanned again. Because Two-Face misyans all the time. Two-Face is a major goof when it comes to talking. He's not gifted in it. Yeah. He's not a gifted speaker. He's not a gifted, his gifts is a maestro in music. Off the stage, he struggles. I remember Two-Face like 10, 15 years ago, people wonder that how come he cannot speak 2 sentences of good English and he sings so well. So we know he has a vulnerability in that area. And what happens is such people, when you're struggling to communicate, you can goof and you're unable to recover from it. So for me, I feel like, oh, Two-Face has done it again. He has said something. And I'm very, very sure that he would regret some of the things when he sees the backlash of the reaction to what he said. Because I don't believe that he would be Two-Face that we've seen over time.
Will intentionally
Want to hurt his wife. So it was a goof. He loves his wife. He doesn't hide that part. And he understands that he is vulnerable. My reaction is that he is generalizing his own reality and putting it on every other person, which is wrong. So he has a struggle with being able to control himself. We know, we've seen the result from many women. So we know that Two-Face has a struggle with controlling himself, but we also know that we cannot use him as a benchmark to judge other men.
Now let's talk about the issue of insensitivity, because I struggled with the fact that many people were condemning him. I felt Nigerians were very hypocritical. Where they were condemning Two-Face, because many women have husbands like Two-Face. Who is fooling who here? We live in this country, we are Nigerians. I won't say all men are like Two-Face, but there's a good chunk of Nigerian men that think exactly as he is. Who is your husband? And says such things everywhere. He just talks about it loosely. And suddenly now, because he did his own in public, he's not the villain. And people are like, how can he talk to his wife like that? I'm thinking, your own husband probably does worse behind closed doors. So that was my own feeling of, this is so hypocritical. Because we've seen Two-Face now, we're all condemning him, when most of us are dealing with husbands that do worse. What are your thoughts on the insensitivity of it? What came across to you?
Yeah, so I didn't condemn Two-Face. Thought me couch it better, because I didn't know how to say, maybe in English they had him. He should have just said that thing in pidgin. Maybe he would have communicated what he wanted to say. But the insensitivity that I talked about is, so we act or we judge people based on precedents, right? I've been to a place where we had this conversation and someone around me said, of course, all men are like that, blah, blah, blah. That's how our body moves and everything. And I didn't take it personal because he didn't have a precedent of having different people. Do you understand? So understanding that you already have that precedent and your wife is not happy about it should have helped you when she was still. Is that what are you saying? Are you saying is general, or you are saying this is you talk? Is this you talk? That was an avenue for you to quickly correct yourself and say, I'm just talking generally now. But he was carried away in the conversation. He did not pay attention to the woman beside him, knowing that this woman already has her insecurities based on your precedents. So we need to just be very careful. You cannot somebody cannot tell you that her knee is always paining her, and then every time she's around, you're bringing up conversations on knees and prodding and choking into the insecurity. You too will be able to calm down. I'm sure when he got home and there was a backlash, you would have felt bad that he didn't communicate well. But you must learn to listen to your spouse. If it's me, I would have pinched him and stepped on his leg. Uchiano, I'm here. You know?
That is you, Bisi.
I'm just saying.
I hear you, because the reason why this is such a deep matter to me is because I feel that it's an opportunity for us to address a lot of Nigerian men's insecurities in how they verbalize their feelings and how they are considerate or inconsiderate of their spouses. Because we saw that, I didn't want to reference Seun Kuti's video, but we saw the way he dismissed his wife. A lot of women try to tell the oh God, stop, calm down. And the husband, shut up, what are you talking about? We see the way Nigerian men talk to their wives. So this is an indication, because it's deeper than what we saw. Let's go on a break. When we come back, we'll unpack this much more. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing the matter. As Your View we don't always try to focus too much on the personalities, but we take out the learnings from it so that we can all learn. And we're discussing the insensitivity a lot of our men, especially Nigerian men, lack. Because many of them usually dismiss or shout at or embarrass their spouses, maybe intentionally or unintentionally, but it comes from an inherent need of that masculinity, that I'm in control. You're my wife. I can tell you to keep quiet, and we don't have to talk in this place. What are your thoughts on the fact that many of our men usually aren't very sensitive to how we feel?
I don't think that would raise men to be sensitive. I don't think that we raise men culturally in this area to be sensitive to other people around them. We raise our men to be men, domineering, present, and, taking charge. And so it's not easy for you to be sensitive and still take charge. It's like, it's a fine line.
You're vulnerable.
You feel like you're vulnerable. So most of our men feel like, especially outside, even if you get back and I say, my darling, don't, I just had to, so that I won't look like you're just riding. Some men will go inside and apologize. But when they're outside, they feel the need to
be the alpha.
Be the man, alpha male. So I feel that a lot of men are not sensitive. And in this case, Two-Face wasn't sensitive to Annie. I had a conversation with a man that his wife was very, very sensitive and felt like he was cheating. And I told him, I said, I don't know why she's just so insecure. I'm not going to be the one to be massaging. I'm not going to. It was saying it over and over again. And I said, hello, you are married, you have 2 children with this woman. You claim you love her. You are not going to manage her insecurity, and you're not being a good husband. As a man, you manage your wife's issues and challenges. Same way, she would also manage yours. So why would you flaunt your female relationships, non-sexual, to your wife when you know she's sensitive? I said, don't put it in her face. Don't let her know that you have female friends that there's nothing going on, because she will never believe there's something going on. So she believes that there's something going on with you and this one, another person.
And you don't care.
And you don't care. That is insensitive.
Talk
to her. I said, 1, you need to reduce the number of women around you. Number 1. Number 2, you need to reduce the number of women around you when she's around. I said, because you're not doing it for her. You're doing it because you want your marriage to be successful. So you will manage her insecurities. Two-Face might have a weakness with women, but anytime Annie is around, his job is to assure her that you are number 1. I love you. I have my weaknesses, but you see, you have my heart. And that is what men should do to the women around them, not to make it look like it does not matter.
You have finished the show.
So, darling, in that reality show, there was another couple who they had a baby mama situation. Anytime this baby mama is present, this man will not play with any other babe. As a matter of fact, the other people were like, are you sure people who still don't have something? He said, no, I'm dating somebody else. He's dating somebody else. We don't have anything with each other. But that respect is there. Nobody dares come close when this woman, in fact, they protect each other. I'm not saying that should have been like the ideal, but the point where you need to protect your spouse, especially outside. I said it last week here when we were talking about the lady that overheard the spouse, saying that, downgrade, she's not all that, but she makes me happy. I'm like, that's not your response. You must protect your spouse. That is your number 1 job. And it's both ways, whether it's the man or the woman. Now, talking about this insensitivity issue, women also need to communicate. So we always base off on assumptions. And he should know now. He should know the right thing to do now. He should know that I don't like this. He should know that I don't like that. Have you called him a few times to say, when we go outside, I know that you have had this past, but I don't like you talking about it in this way. I don't like you doing this in this way. I don't like the way you're hugging everybody. I don't like it. It affects my insecurities. Have you had that conversation? But most times we don't.
What if we have? Because many women will tell you we have tried.
So tell a man who is ready. Wait, live with the way you said it. A man who is ready to work on that marriage will listen to you, except he's not ready. So you need to count your cost. You need to ask yourself, is this man ready to work together with me, or we should just be doing our own things? Some men do not understand that they need to work together. Some men will feel, okay, this is what my wife
is the wife.
Yes, it's the wife that has the responsibility of making this marriage work. But those men who are ready to work the marriage would listen to you. You say it one time, second time, third time, fourth time. Okay, I will try. You know, I like to hug. However, I will try. When I go there, I will not hug. Let them not come to me. If they come, I will give them my shoulder. You see that somebody is making an effort. But have you communicated this?
So there was a part of this thing that also was disturbing, where people were painting out Annie to be such a woman who is insecure. She's not, she doesn't have control. And again, I mean, I don't know her medical status. But the truth is, I was asking myself, how many Nigerian women don't need some kind of therapy? How many Nigerian women don't need some kind of how many of us are not insecure? There's something in our background, exposure, and our experiences that has made us insecure about one thing or the other. We can't all pretend as if we are perfectly okay, we are healed. No, we are all just kind of managing this whole thing. And this thing called Nigerian marriage, trust me, it's a lot of work.
Marriage everywhere.
Compared to other, I mean, marriage everywhere is a lot of work, but our own case, I think our own case is a bit different because our men are just very, very unique, you know? So sometimes we make it look as if, oh, she has insecurity issues. You are pointing finger at her. You probably have times 10.
Yes.
So can we really devoid ourselves of insecurity? Are we not all insecure somehow?
So when I say I love what you just said, I think it's extremely important.
Yeah.
Even the men are insecure.
Yeah.
And women are, every human being, we might not, for somebody it might be their, for cheating, for another person is something else. Everybody has one form of insecurity that we ought to work on. We ought to work on. We are on a journey, and we must take that journey. I feel that if you don't, you know, there's something I learned from the coaching program I did with BC and her friends. And he said, if you don't pass that course, you will remain there. In life,
repeating,
you will repeat it. So you must, even if you have an insecurity, you must find a way to move past it by taking ownership. I have this insecurity. What do I need to do to get better? It's a journey everybody must take. We have men that are very, very jealous, you know, men that are aggressively jealous. If they see their wife take a phone call from a man 2 times, they get paranoid. So such men understand you have a problem and then you work on it. If a woman has her own too, she works on it. We are on a journey, but we must continue to work on it. If not, we'll find ourselves at that same point over and over again. In the first season, Annie was at this point. Second season, she's at this point. Back. There is need for major therapy. We should talk about these things and normalize it.
Let me take this call from Hassan. Hassan, good morning. You're live. Thanks for calling.
Good morning. Please, I listened to the program on Saturday. I condemn India for disrespecting his wife and women generally. Women deserve respect. I tell you, but I'm disappointed that 2 of your executive members there are trying to lower the image of the guy by trying to see him as if what he did wasn't intentional. It was intentional. It's not something general with women. You understand? A man should respect his wife. There's nothing with that. And my second issue about this matter is that women should learn to respect themselves. You should stop marrying a man because of money and fame. You see, if a man realizes that you got married to him because of his fame or his money, there will be no respect for you. We men, we recognize women that respect themselves. This emotional attachment, we recognize it. Good morning.
Thank you very much, Hassan. Let me go on a quick break. When we come back, we'll take a few comments on social media. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. All right, we're still discussing this really hot topic because, as I said, we like to take learnings from it. And before the break, we're discussing, especially how when you're in a marriage with somebody and the woman is struggling to get her husband to either listen to her or to be able to understand her feelings, not just me telling you to go and get a job or me telling you to go and do, it's the feeling, how am I feeling? The things you do, your joblessness, how I feel about it, your shouting, your dirtiness, how you reprimand the kids, how these things make me feel. We don't really address feelings. We tell you to just get a grip. What is it? I'm the man. Your mother-in-law will tell you get a grip. It's not how his father talks,
Yeah.
So these are issues that we need to talk about and bring to the fore because many people just think it's normal.
Nigerians don't even talk about feelings generally.
Yes.
Yeah. So the problem is because we marry at the level of our self-esteem, and we know that a lot of people at the time they got married did not even know who they were.
Yeah.
They didn't have that self-esteem. They didn't have that self-respect. Marriage was a necessity. Once you graduate from school, your mother is already looking at you. Where is the man? Your father is already counting. Please go. So that there will be space for your younger ones to take your room. You know, we matured into, let me just finish school and get into marriage without understanding. I have seen relationship dynamics where the man knows that he has to listen to his wife because at the time he met his wife, he met her when she knew herself, when she had self-respect, when she had a healthy self-esteem, when she was able to draw boundaries. From the time that they are dating, you come and you messian, I will clear you. If you don't like it, we break up. I used to tell people I'd rather have 15 boyfriends than have 15 marriages. That meant I had to start scrutinizing. In fact, I've dumped somebody for talking to me about my father anyhow. I just ended the relationship. I didn't explain anything. I just took a walk. If you can disrespect my father in your statements, you don't even know him. From the small gist I gave you, he's already entering your head like you know us. And you can disrespect him, bye-bye. My daughter would say, girl, bye, right? So when you marry from that level where you do not understand who you are, these men capitalize on it because they do not have the proper training to help you boost your self-esteem. So they are not doing anything wrong in the sense of it, but they are operating from where they are, and they may not be able to help you.
Yes.
Now, a lot of marriages are stuck in that position where the man does not understand that he needs to listen to the feelings because he's not there yet.
But that's more,
Let me take it in another angle. You've married, and in marriage, you've discovered yourself. Yes. You've discovered what you're worth. Yes. I think that's the most important journey every human being should take.
Yeah.
You know, you are too priceless. You're too limitless for you to allow somebody talk down on you. I respect myself too much. So it starts from you knowing yourself, respecting yourself, putting a premium on who you are. Then you treat yourself with that premium, and you will redefine in your marriage how you'll be treated. It is a very tough journey if your partner is also not on a self-development journey.
Yeah.
If he is, you will catch up.
Yes.
But if he is not, he
harder.
would over time realize that the way this my wife is always packaging, I cannot do anything less for her because of the way she treats herself. Right. I'm gifting you something. I see the way you treat yourself, the way you treat me. I will not be able to do anything less than that. So it's important for people to
give an example.
respect themselves.
Let me give an example. I've always complained here about my husband's shouting and everything, and he's always had this thing of shouting. And earlier in the year, I started praying for him because it was getting to me a bit. And I started praying for him. And I told you recently that he was telling me, all this your prayer about God should give me calmness. It's money I need. Tell God, don't do this your prayer of calmness. But did you know, I heard him pray for himself. Joe started praying just yesterday. Last week. He said, Father, Lord, I'm asking for calmness of spirit. And I'm thinking to myself,
it took a while, it gets there.
It took a while. And like, for him to be praying for himself, I said, bros, it's getting there.
Yeah.
So some of us don't have that luxury of being a pussy. Some of us don't have that luxury of, you know what, I can address this. But some of us, our own journey is painstaking, but eventually you get there. You might not have that. So you might know. So also, John is part of you knowing your worth. And as you grow, he begins to respect you, earn your respect, and he doesn't talk to you anymore. And then your feelings become important to him because when you realize, I can't talk about my wife like this. I can't talk to my wife like this because there's a respect here you have earned. That's what even RDJ told me for many years ago. Once you earn his respect, he would not talk to you anyhow. And that's what probably happened in that situation where Annie may not have been able to earn enough of her husband's respect to whenever she's with her.
Or he's not sensitive enough
because he's not there too.
Because he's not there too. So it's a
journey.
Not there,
so it's a journey.
Yeah, it's
so
a journey.
it's not. So we shouldn't discriminate or dismiss her, but help her and help him to get to that point where they graduate to prune each other, and then get to the point where there's enough respect, mutual respect for them.
She needs to be ready to be helped. You know, sometimes when people are not ready and you're saying some of these things, you're the one noticing from the outside, like the way Nigerians are noticing. So in the relationship now, she feels like you people are disturbing us. What thing concern you now? I took a walk in here, I move on. Two of us are friends. We are moving on. Our marriage is good. She's not saying it. So you need to, first of all, get to a point where you know that you're sick before you can go to the hospital. So if she starts reevaluating, and one of the ways that you can know where you are and where you're headed is to reevaluate, is to go back and have a rethink. Ask yourself, how did I feel? It was obvious she was not comfortable with that conversation.
But BC, if I choose not to see it, you know, there's some people that want to see it. I can make a choice. I like to be insecure. Leave me with my insecurity. Yes, but I am about Koku. Leave me like that. Can we respect you for whatever?
Yes, but don't get upset when people point it out because you carried your life to the public.
Why are they pointing it out?
No, because you give them entertainment with the way we talk on this table now. And we give our gist. People condemn us every day. People write stinkers to us every day because we put our lives out there, right? If you don't want to be spoken about, stay in your closet. Don't come and put it in my face. And then when I have an opinion, you get upset. So if you really do not want to be changed, there are two ways you can do this. Either you don't come out to give it to us, don't show us, you do it in your closet, nobody cares. Or even when you show us, you own it with your chest.
You know, so the reason why I said that, because I remember there was something that happened with me where my friend was telling me that, Mariah, you're so insecure. And I'm like, leave me with my insecurities. It's okay. It's a journey. I'm on a journey. I'm not there yet, but eventually, this was many years ago that she was telling me that, oh, you're so insecure. I mean, yes, I know I'm insecure. Don't worry. But I'll fix myself. But it's not for you to come and tell me or make me feel bad because I'm not there yet. That's the point I'm trying to make. Let me take this call from Ibrahim. Good morning. Are you there?
Yeah, good morning.
You're live. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, nice speaking this university. I've been trying for something.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, please. I have been listening to the conversations. I've always been listening to very big fans. My own view is that most of the people I listen to about marriage always see people talking to women.
It's so difficult to hear, Ibrahim. It was a bit muffled. I tried. Yes.
So this thing that we talk about, different journeys that were going on, there was a conversation I had with Mariam, I think it was last year, and I'm like, we both said, like, we're adding weight, but I'm not ready to work on it yet. That my head is not there. So the fact that I could acknowledge that I know that I am insecure, or oh, I'm adding weight, or I am aggressive.
The first step.
Yes.
Yeah.
You know, so I'm like, why are you so aggressive? I know I'm a bit aggressive when I feel being attacked, but I'm working on it. So understand I'm on a journey.
Yeah.
But it is out of love and kindness that most people will point out. Some are just pointing to make you feel bad. But in most cases, people will say it because they love and they care. And while I've seen a lot of bashing comments on Annie, I have seen some really kind, thoughtful comments to her as well.
Wow.
So it's important that you don't just overlook the bad you are getting and you miss out on the good out there. And then, like what BC said, you are in a reality show, you are calling for attention. Don't say we should start off your marriage. You put your marriage on international television because you want to be there. You want that platform. So you will take the good and the bad together.
Okay, we're going to go on a break. I want to see how we can take the good and the bad together. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your View will be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. We're still discussing this, our hot topic today. And before the break, Tokwe had asked that, how do we take in the good and the bad together? And that got me thinking, because a lot of homes and marriages are finding ways to take a bit of good and the bad. Some bads are there and you have to live with. Some bads are there and many Nigerian women live with today. And some of them will relocate and they realize that that thing that you've been living with is the same factor that is causing you guys to fall apart. You know, so can we really, or should we live with the good and the bad, or should we strive to make everything good and or strive towards perfection and not accept that, okay, this is the bad side of my husband, I accept it?
There's no such thing as perfection. We are flawed by design. we can't dodge it. That's just how we are. That's how we've been created. However, the universe abhors a vacuum.
Yeah.
That means that you must continually decide that you will grow. In the universe, it's either something is growing or something is dying. And when I say die, it doesn't mean all of a sudden you will die, but you will be dead to knowledge. You'll be dead to new ideas that would help you. You'll be dead to a change of mindset if you are not constantly developing yourself. This thing, personal development, is very powerful, and it can change anybody's life. It's just deciding that I no longer like where I am. I can change. And by the time you start changing, you realize that, okay, my environment needs an upgrade. The people around me need an upgrade. When they start seeing the change in you, seeing how consistent you are in the change, they will, one after the other, they will gradually start paying attention to you. They will start following you. You don't even need to speak so much.
But do you think that that change sometimes comes at a cost to those? For example, a woman is weighing her cost. As I'm changing and I'm realizing that I can't take this anymore. I can't take this beating anymore. And then she's thinking, okay, maybe I should manage the beating because I have 4 kids. I have 5 children. The man is stable. We travel every year for our summer. We do this, She's weighing her cost. She's like, you know what? I will take the good and the bad together. I'm not going to, I'm looking for perfection, but this one, I'm not going to lose this thing called marriage because the man beats me a bit.
So do you know that when you take the good and the bad, you are not seen in the space where you are overreacting and complaining. Nobody would know what you are dealing with. Yeah, people have seen. You don't even know that your husband beats them from time to time. When you come to their space, you will not know. They have shielded it, they have enclosed it because the marriage is more important to them than their self-esteem and their self-respect. And they're okay. So when you choose your battle, nobody will come and be saying, auntie,
you don't stand up and walk away.
You don't stand up and walk away. You have chosen it. You have lived with it. You have covered it. There's something they always say that love covereth all. You have chosen to cover it. That's your choice. But sometimes when you are bringing it out, it's a cry for help from the place of your subconscious. You're not even aware that you are crying for help. But your constant repeating and narrating and overreacting in public is a cry for help. And so what people will do is to try and help you by pointing out those things that you may not be seeing or you are seeing but you're in denial. So another step is to move away from the denial. So what I do when I get feedback that is not very pleasant, I read them. I read them because I've learned that your haters will tell you the exact truth about what you need to change. Your haters are there for a reason. They are there for your growth. So instead of getting so upset and ignoring the messages, I take it. And some of the messages have helped me today because I paid attention to it. They were saying it from a place of bitterness, but it didn't matter. I didn't crucify them. I took the message, and it also helped to change me. So sometimes when people around you, yes, because I'm on a level of self-awareness, right? So we need to get to that self-awareness. We need to ask ourselves, what is that thing that I want going forward? How do I want my home to be? Has she ever sat down one day to say, this is how I want to represent myself outside, when I go out with my husband, when I am with my children? So those are some of the steps. And if you are okay the way you are,
designing your life,
then carry it on. Nobody will complain
about the good and the bad and putting in the work, Everything that you have in this life, you put in the work. It took something from you. There's a cost to every good thing. A good marriage requires work. You have a certificate, you have your master's, it took you work.
You had to read.
MBA, it took you work. So if you want a better life, you want that elevation from where you are, you would invest the time to do the work. So some people would take that. I want the money, I want the fame, I would deal with the cheating. It's okay. It's the price I will pay. I'm going to be the madam of the house. I have the ring. So you know that there are some things, opportunity costs, things that you would let go for what you are keeping. But it must be a conscious decision. So there was when I was, I went through my season of life coaching. There was a course I put together that I never launched. I called it the Designer Life, designing your life. Because really, every human being should design your life. Yeah. Design how you will react. Design how you want to show up. Design how your family will be. Write it down. This is the emotion I want to feel when I see my husband. This is the emotion I want to feel when I show up in a place. So when you when you design it, it will not always conform, but you know you are working towards this particular thing. But it takes time to write it down, because there were several times that I went through different coaching programs and they'll tell me to write everything, and I will not write, I would run away. But when I was ready, I knew I needed to design how I wanted my life to be. And in that design, you know that you will make some sacrifices. Right now, I haven't had carbohydrates in months. And that's January. The sacrifice I am making for the design of the life I want to have. So every human being needs to make that sacrifice. And if you're watching and you feel like, oh, these people are just talking.
No, we have lived it.
Look through your own journey and understand that you don't want to be, you might not have a reality show where your challenges will be put out like, okay, and what, I mean, not okay, sorry. Annie. And why we talk about it, Maria always says, is not to judge Annie.
It's to learn from it.
Two-Face. It's to understand what they've gone through and how maybe it mirrors what I'm going through and what lessons I can learn.
I think we can wrap up with that. Thank you so much, ladies. Fantastic conversation. Let's go on a quick break. We come back bringing our guests for the health sector. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Stay tuned. Your view will be right.
Thanks for staying with us. So joining us on this segment is the member, House of Representative Honorable Kingsley Chinda. He will be speaking on the 10th National Assembly inauguration in June and all the politicking, contending issues leading to the yet-to-be-announced D-Day. Welcome to the show, sir.
Good morning. It's my pleasure to be with you.
Yes. So one of the key issues currently across the country is the matter of zoning of the leadership of the Senate presidency. What are your thoughts on this? Because there are a few names that have been considered, we're told. What are your thoughts on it, and how do you believe and also for the House of Reps also, the leadership of the House of Reps and also for the Senate, what are your initial thoughts on it, and how do you think it should be properly zoned?
Well, thank you for the opportunity. Firstly, let me say that we practice parliamentary democracy in Nigeria, and for us to get it right, we must be prepared to bear some sacrifices. We must be prepared to be a little bit selfless. We must be prepared to go the whole hog. And I think the first issue that we had in the House of Representatives was the issue of whether majority party should produce or the minority parties put together, which has now formed the majority, should go ahead and attempt to produce the presiding officers of the House. And a few of us, a few very senior members of the Parliament came together, talked to ourselves, and decided that we must do the right thing, regardless of which side of the divide we find ourselves. And then we must also try to set the 10th Assembly on the right footing by ensuring that we support the right candidate that will pilot the affairs of this arm of government properly and in the interest of Nigeria as a whole. Of course, we set out to carry out some deep studies into what happens in other climes and how they have succeeded in their own parliamentary democracy. And we found out that they were playing by the rules. One of the first rules I would say is that the issues of party influence, it happens in every clime, even in the American system. And just recently, you heard the former president of America who insisted that he wanted a particular candidate for the Republicans. And all members of the party queued behind that candidate. That's a former president, not a sitting president, not an incoming president. And the party agreed with him, and members queued behind their party. That has helped to stabilize the system when it goes that way. But when you come to our own situation, severally, we have had situations where the party takes a decision and members will go against the decision of the party. That breeds indiscipline in the system, that breeds confusion, that also breeds that friction, personal friction, not friction in the interest of the nation now between the arms of government. An example is the 7th Assembly and the 8th Assembly. And incidentally, I have been part of those assemblies, and I can tell you my experiences in those assemblies. So we set up the joint tax and agreed that we must practice parliamentary democracy in line with acceptable standards. First, the party with majority in the House should produce presiding officers, and the minority parties should provide credible opposition on the floor of the House. Opposition based on facts, based on figures, with alternatives when we criticize. And we are prepared to do that. I am of the opposition party, and we are very prepared to provide Nigerians with a credible opposition on the floor of the House. Having agreed that the majority party should produce, we also agree that if the party zones that will abide by the zoning go to those zones and look for the best candidates from those zones to support. And that was why the joint tax made that first pronouncement that will abide by the APC zoning arrangements, if any. If the party says they are not interested in zoning, then we'll look at all the candidates that are available and go for the best. After an in-depth study
for those of us,
both the antecedents and the relationships at home.
For those of us on this side of the divide, when we hear things like consensus candidacy, we often think that, is this still a democracy? We understand that when the party agrees on this person, that's what the party leaders feel that everybody should align. But many Nigerians will feel that maybe the reason why we want a very robust National Assembly, because we want different people to have different ideas. We want it to be real democracy playing out, where people can actually vote individually, not so much of party. What do you think on this position?
First, let me just say that I didn't get you clearly because of the not too good audio at this end, but I want to make out of it that you're asking of the issue of having a consensus candidate and democracy itself and freedom of expression by members.
Yes.
Yes, it would appear so. It would appear so if you have a consensus candidate. But then we are actually driving for a consensus candidate, if it is possible. Now, the reason is that when you have a consensus candidate where everybody agrees that, yes, this is the right person, it makes it a win-win situation for every member of parliament. It makes it a win-win situation for Nigerians, and we will not dissipate both energy and resources in struggling for who becomes the speaker or the presiding officer of the House. Let me also say that in other developed climes, even before the election of speaker, they already know who the speaker ought to be, because you know that this is either the most senior member, this is the most qualified person, this is the majority leader, and his party has won the election, and he is the majority leader. Automatically, he becomes the speaker. Or he is the minority leader, now his party is majority in parliament. It follows that that minority leader will become the speaker of parliament in other climes. But it is here that we see a situation where everybody will throw his hat into the ring. Whether you are qualified or not qualified, you just want to struggle, you want to be speaker. Because you have the feeling that perhaps if I attempt to be the speaker of the parliament, I will be called, I will be discussed with, and then I will be asked to make a choice. If not speaker, what would you want? And some of these persons you see that are running for speakership are actually not interested in being the speaker of the House of Reps. They're interested in being chairman of committees. So they are just taking that shot in order for them to have a bargaining mind. And that is not a good practice. So it is not abnormal to have a consensus candidate. I can tell you that if we practice parliamentary democracy properly, we should have an idea of who and who ought to be the speaker of the 10th Assembly.
Okay.
So for me, I already understand that many people aspire for positions when they know there is no opportunity, just so that there's a bit of visibility for them. And it causes distraction, you know, and just waste a lot of time. But a lot of people have aspired for positions within the House of Rep, and I am worried that we're not putting into cognizance the importance of experience. when we talk about House of Rep and what they're meant to do, the longer you've been there, the better you are at doing your job. So based on what the consensus is, do you believe that the party is considering experience, or they're just focused on zoning? Because I've been hearing more of zoning, the importance of balance, more than the part that we want to be sure that whoever will be put in that position has the necessary experience to effectively coordinate the affairs of the House.
Now, I can tell you that for us, I wouldn't want to say that I'm speaking on behalf of majority of the members of the House of Representatives, but I'm speaking for members of joint tax, which has more numbers anyway. So for us, we looked at several factors: experience, your conduct and demeanor in the House, your background, that is your representation in the House, your relationship with your people at home. We carried out thorough investigation in joint tax. We didn't just come up to adopt a candidate. We looked at, now if you talk about a parliamentarian, his functions are three-pronged. One, legislation. How well have you done in that aspect over the years in Parliament? How many bills have you sponsored and how many have been assented to? That will give you a score when it comes to legislation from our own yardstick. Now, we also looked at the issue of representation. How well have you impacted on your constituency in terms of projects, in terms of attracting government presence, and your relationship with your people at home? How are you held at home? How do your people perceive you? Do you have a relationship, or you remain in Abuja and never go home? And then the third one is the oversight. If you have chaired a committee in the House, how well have you performed? What is your relationship with members of the committee that you have chaired? What is your relationship with the agencies that you have oversighted? Joint tax went back to study all the aspirants or the persons who have brought themselves out for speakership on these issues, and we scored all. And I can tell you clearly that Right Honorable Tajuddin Abbas excelled amongst them. Yes, everybody, all of them, they're all qualified. Some are good, some are better than others, but Tajuddin Abbas came out best amongst them. And the party, incidentally, also adopted him as their consensus candidate. So that means that the party also did some work. The party just didn't arrive at that decision. And so the joint tax found it very easy to align with the party position, because first we had said that we are going to allow the majority party to zone, and then we'll go to that zone and look for the best candidate. Meanwhile, we started a study, a background study of all the candidates. And so when the party arrived at that decision, it was easy for us to take our position, make our position clear that we are supporting Tajuddin Abbas for speakership. This is somebody who has over 21 bills assented to by the president. That is, if you go through the law books of this country today, you can get at least 21 laws with his name as the sponsor. I have been in the parliament for 12 years. I have just 2 laws to my credit assented to by Mr. President. That is a challenge to me. Now, I have been in the parliament for 12 years. Like I said, I came in with him. And I can tell you that I'm not a lazy parliamentarian.
Yeah.
I work here very late. And sometimes, even when I close, I see the light in his office still on. And I ask, who is in that office? They say, Tajuddin Abbas is still there. I mean, it leaves an impression. We went back to Zaria, and when we went on our own investigation to find out his relationship with his people, and almost everybody rated him very highly, including the former vice president of this country, who is a member of the PDP, who told us about him from infancy up till now, and rated him very highly. Tajuddin Abbas is of the APC. I am of the PDP. The former vice president is of the PDP and our leader in the PDP. That is representation at home. Now,
Okay.
you talk
Okay,
about
sir.
oversight. When we looked at his oversight performance, presently he's chairman of land transport. And we asked members of his committee, everybody, every member of that committee had something good to say about him.
Right.
Particularly his deputy chairman, who should be at loggerheads with him, because that's one yardstick you use in assessing the performance of a chairman, particularly relationship with members. Find out the relationship with his deputy chairman.
Right.
Okay.
His deputy chairman clearly was pleading that, look, if he could be given a higher position, that he is worth it.
Okay, sir.
So that also gave him a pass mark. I'm saying this so that Nigerians will understand when joint tax comes out to say this is our position, that we are not taking that position on grounds of politics.
Right.
We have people who are closer to us as friends, as brothers, who are in this race.
Right. Okay.
Perhaps closer than Tajuddin Abbas to us. But
Okay,
we
sir.
have the interests of this country at heart, and we think we should get it right. And to get it right, the foundation is very important.
Okay, sir. We know
It
that...
is not about relationship.
Yes, sir. So we know that the presidential-elect and the vice is a combination of a Muslim ticket. And Nigerians are saying when it comes to having the Speaker of the House, it will be okay to, go in line with the federal character. Are you people considering that as well? Because you understand the nature of Nigeria as a whole.
Definitely, we also consider the issue of federal character, and that was why we encouraged the party to zone. Our first statement was that we will encourage the majority party to zone, and we will abide by the zoning. The reason is that zoning allows you to capture that spread and federal character that the Constitution requires. And so that was considered. But again, let me say as an individual that our problems in Nigeria do not know religion, tribe, or political party. If you're hungry, hunger does not recognize religion, tribe, or political party. The security problems we have today, those who are killed, they are not asked whether you are from PDP or APC, whether you are from the north or the south. If you're unfortunate, you're caught in the web. So whilst we consider the issues of federal character, as an individual, I speak, that is not most important. I think that we need an emergency in this country in several areas. Everybody has said that we have the resources, we have the enormous resources, both manpower, human resources, natural resources, but our problem is management. And so we should begin to put round pegs in round holes.
Right.
And that is what joint tax is out to do.
Okay, so I respect that, definitely. Many people have also had concern or expressed concern, the fact that the president-elect, the vice president-elect are both Muslims. So they're hoping that the third and fourth man should be of another religion. But even with that, others are still considering leadership from other Muslim leaders. What are your thoughts on this? How important do you think religion must play in this, especially because our president-elect and vice president-elect are also Muslims? Oh,
that was the question.
I asked.
You just...
But let me also take you back. If you look at all the frontliners in the House of Representatives that are running for speakership, almost all of them are Muslims.
Yeah.
Almost all. So if you have to make a choice amongst all, what do? You go for the best. So if we also consider that, we're not going to push persons to come and run for speakership, but we are left with those who have presented themselves.
Wow. So you're saying none of the Christians have presented themselves?
I can't, as we speak now, I can't remember any Christian that has presented himself for the speakership. But we have a lot for the deputy speakership.
Right. Okay. Interesting. Okay, so we have to wrap up with that because the show is fast spent. But in your general view, how do you think the final outcome should look when it comes in June?
Come again?
I said, now that we're wrapping up, so what do you think the final outcome should look like? What should the National Assembly leadership look like when we finally find out in June? What's your own suggestion and your own preference? Or who are your preferences?
Firstly, after the proclamation, when the National Assembly is inaugurated, of course, we don't have an option than to elect the presiding officers. And by the special grace of God, I believe that the best will emerge. And that best is Tajuddin Abbas. I believe that he will be the Speaker of the 10th Assembly. And I believe that he is ready. We have had interface with him. He is ready. He will hit the ground running. And I also believe that he will realize that he is here to serve Nigerians, not for self-aggrandizement, not just to show off. He's a gentleman par excellence. If you interact with him or even see him, you will understand what I'm saying. He's also a selfless Nigerian, and we believe that power will not corrupt him to do otherwise than we know him. And we are also ready to put in our own quota to ensure that the 10th Assembly actually represents Nigerians, that we speak for the people, we act for the people, and at the end of the day, that the country will be better off. So I will also want to urge my colleagues to please be a little bit more selfless in this particular act. Let us be more Nigerian. Let us look at the candidates and see who will help this country better.
All right, let me just
look
throw...
at the candidates and look at their credentials and take a decision that by the time we will sleep with our 2 eyes closed.
Let me just quickly ask about Honorable Mariam Ngwoha. She's the only woman in this race. What preference do you have towards her?
Honorable Mariam, yes, we actually also carried out a study on her because she has presented herself. She's done well. She's done well as a parliamentarian. And she has a right to also go for the position. But then amongst them, like I said, some are better, but you have the best amongst them. Amongst them, we also consider the profile. When we consider the profile, we have a gentleman who is the spokesperson of the House today, Honorable Ben Kano. We also went back to their constituencies to see what they have on ground. Very massive. When we went to Benue, very massive on ground. We looked at the followership at home. Yes, the gender issue for gender balancing swayed heavily on our minds, and that was also rated. But when we added up all, Ben Carlo was still slightly ahead. And so we decided to...
So, all right, we have to wrap up. The reason why I had asked was because you had said it categorically that there was no Christian. And she's a Christian, and she's on the race. And it was like there was no regard given. But either way, well, thank you so much, sir, for joining us this morning to express your thoughts on the upcoming leadership of the 10th National Assembly. That's all we can take on today's show. Hope you learned a few things as we have. Have a great day. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye for now.